Hello everybody. Today, instead of an exercise tutorial or anything like that, I wanted to talk about work ethic and basically how to get yourself disciplined into drawing if you really do want to take this seriously. Or it doesn't even have to be seriously. You can be chasing this as a hobby or whatever you choose to do in life. That's something I wanted to talk about. So to begin with, I'm going to be drawing while I do this because then it'll make it a little bit easier for all things involved and you're not watching a blank screen. So you always want to start off. I'll start with the fact that I'm probably like you are if you're watching this video. I didn't start off like a disciplined person. All I wanted to do was play video games and whatnot and just mess around and not really care about what I did. But then I decided one day I need to find a way to make money, and I wanted to choose a path that I had the most freedom in. And so I chose this path, and it didn't really matter to me what skill I learned as long as it was something that I would enjoy for the rest of my life. So I guess it does matter, but not in the sense that art was always my calling, always my thing, and I think that's really important. And honestly, I made the decision to go into art on a whim. I was like, I want to do visual art. I think it has the most potential for whatever I desire. I originally started off thinking I would only be good enough to do landscaping, and here we are now, like doing landscapes, and here I am now drawing people, drawing faces, drawing everything I thought would be too hard for me. But I didn't get there with the ambition of doing that. I just kind of came along through and found my way through as I went. And things got easier as they went along. So what I do want to talk about is how I started. And honestly, there was this one time I was just going for a walk with some friends, and I saw someone outside drawing from the top of a mountain, and I was like, I should do that. And so that's how it became. I said to myself, I need to draw. If I want to take this seriously, I need to be doing it every day for the rest of my life, which sounds like a daunting task, and it almost sounds like it is. But when you have the motive of, I want to be doing this for the rest of my life, it's not so daunting after that. And so I didn't start big. I didn't start, drawing big complex things. I started with, I think, Loomis or something like that, but I don't recommend that, honestly. But what I do recommend is that you get a sketchbook, something similar to this. It's nice and small, and then you can just flick through it and draw as much as you want. Take that, get your favorite tool. I'd recommend pens so you can't go back on your mistakes and you're not too finicky about it. And you start drawing. And the best way to start is to draw from life, because life, I'll take a quote from Marco Pure White, who said, nature is the artist, we are merely preparing whatever it is that it is produced. So, sorry, that was not a direct quote, but that's the general idea that nature will teach us all the lessons we need to know. So if you're learning from other people or you're learning for yourself, learn from nature, because we reflect nature in everything that we do. There's the golden ratio, there's a rule of thirds, there's color theory, there's bright colors. Everything that we're attracted to is not really a coincidence. And so drawing from nature is the best way to learn if you're going to learn on your own to start with. And it doesn't have to be complicated. All you would need to do to start, which I did, was to take that sketchbook I just showed you and then just basically draw in it every day. And when you start, don't try and draw more than once a day. It sounds counterproductive, and you might be like, why would I do that? So I understand a lot about the idea of burnout and how it happens. Burnout happens if you go too fast, too hard without your mind being ready. It's like it's like trying to lift weights way beyond what you're capable of. And you might be able to lift it the first time because you might be fresh and you might have all the preparation and strength beforehand. But if you try and do that every day, you're gonna break yourself, you're gonna damage your muscles, and then you won't be able to lift as much, and then you just keep going like that until you basically break. Now, that's not to say not to challenge yourself, but when you start, you need to build up some conditioning, basically. And people don't seem to think that the brain is a muscle in itself, but it is, and it needs to be trained in the same way that our bodies need to be trained. So if you're a gym person or you've done exercise, you'll know that you can't just jump into things and expect to be good at them, and you can't jump into things and expect your body to adapt to it like immediately. It does happen quickly if you just do it over time and slowly. So I recommend, if you really want to start, before jumping into lots of things at once, do one thing and then you leave it for the day. And then you just, that is your minimum. It's what you call your bare minimum. So for me, it was drawing something from nature, going out and drawing something in that sketchbook once a day. And then I said, that's it for me. If I want to do extra drawing, I can. But for the most part, that is what I require of myself. The only thing I require of myself of the day. And so it starts there. And then you slowly build up. When you feel like it's not enough, when you get bored of doing something, that is the time to challenge yourself. Because when you get bored of something, that means your brain has acclimated to the challenge or the routine or whatever, which means that it becomes a little bit of an automatic process. And when that happens, your brain is ready to jump to the next task. So after you do a sketchbook every day, you can add on maybe 10 figures before you head out for the day, or whatever you decide to draw, 10 still lifes or 1 still life or whatever. I choose when I start to do lots of repetition over quality. So quantity over quality when you start. When you get to the point where quantity gets boring, that's when you switch over to quality. So you do less reps and then better you try and make it the best that it can be. And then you fluctuate between that. When you get bored of doing too much things in too much detail, you go back to doing quantity. And you just switch between those. Learning and building habits is an adaptive process. It's not something that you can do one thing of only one thing. But this is just me, though. You'll find out your rhythm, but this is what I recommend. And I think it works for most people, too, that you can't be stuck on one thing the whole time, and you can't be stuck on you can't even be stuck on that same kind of routine where you fluctuate back and forth. Sometimes you need to make a bigger challenge, ask people to give you, or ask for requests, or find the niche that you're going to make some money on, and then and then you build from there. And honestly, as money, they say don't do art for the money, but you need to be thinking about, how am I going to make money off this? Because that actually pushed me to start drawing faces, and it pushed me to try even harder. And my art improved greatly when I started thinking about how I'm going to sell this to somebody. Because when I started thinking about selling it to someone, I had to increase my quality to the point where it was acceptable to most people. And then you find the gaps where you can let some of your weaknesses slide through that other people won't notice as an artist. And honestly, when you reach a certain point, you'll find that you're going to be leagues ahead of most other people, and it's one of the better feelings, because people will then start to admire what you do. And that's all I can really recommend, is just take it slow, but do it every day. Reps every day, doing it once a day grants you better quality over time than doing lots of reps all at once and then leaving it, because you need to build up a habit to the point where it feels uncomfortable when you don't do it. So have fun. That is the most important part, really, having fun. If you can have fun while doing all of this, then you're going to have a wonderful time going through the journey of art. I still am. I'm teaching now, because I'm teaching a little bit now, or putting my ideas out there on how to do things, because that's the other way to grow. But that's nothing you should be worried about when you start. But if you want to, it might be a good idea as well, if you're trying to refresh ideas. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.